Hello, welcome to another edition of the Success Principles for Housewives and Stay-at-Home Moms and Dads. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Dr. Mrs. Blessing Ishamo, and I am a certified trainer of the Success Principles online. Thank you so much for joining my darling friend, Ayo. I'm a leadership coach and a family and sex coach, and also a network marketing professional. Today is day 19. There's something I learned. When you do something or you achieve something, no matter how small, celebrate it. Today we want to look at feedback. Success Principle 19 says use feedback to your advantage. Now, when I first started business online, it was not funny when somebody says, okay, so let me tell you one of the things that I do. Then, when somebody calls me and I don't pick or return the call, and they call back to say, I called you, why didn't you pick? And this is business. Why are you not returning my calls? I don't like hearing that. I just feel so annoyed. Who is this to tell me what to do? So for some of us with the personality trait where we love to be praised, we love to, want people to like us, you need to watch out. When it is not going your way, there are two kinds of feedback, positive and negative. Positive is when, hey, you are beautiful, you did well, you passed the course, you made this, and everybody is happy with you, and you're feeling, I try, yes. And then there is the, you should work on being more sensitive, more organized. You should work on reaching out to more people if you want to move ahead. And those ones, those people, they must be the enemy. They don't like me. Why would they tell me that? So you need to become aware of your personality. Feedback is good and it's very important. In fact, Jack Canfield said, see negative feedback as improvement opportunities. So for some personality traits, if you just say it, they are open, they listen, they say, okay, let me see where it's not as painful emotionally like some of us. So for me, it's a journey and I've grown. And that's why reading the Success Principles by Jack Canfield, it's one of the gifts you should give yourself before the end of this year, because it's going to help change the way you see things. So a lot of people feel that, when someone is being corrected, they just get, there are three different things, the way they respond that may not help. Thank you, sweet sis. Thanks for the encouragement. Yeah, that's positive feedback. I like that one. Okay, so when somebody says, you need to work on this. Every time you're coming late. And then you get angry. That's not a good way to respond, for the fact that for some people, when they get angry, they'll just bottle it in and they will never go near that person. Or for some others, they will throw a tantrum, they'll be angry. For some others, they would mark that person as the enemy. Don't do any of this, because getting angry does not solve anything. You may release some emotions. For some people, they want to explain. You see, I'm late because. In fact, because should be one of the vocabularies you should remove from your words. You should remove from your vocabulary. I can't, because those words, try as much as possible to reduce using them. They are not getting you anywhere. Many times, you're trying to justify something. So when somebody says, why did you do this? Or I think you should improve on this. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And then you start all over and say, you've not walked in my shoes. Then there is this other response of either caving in or quitting. Somebody is just sad and is feeling, I can't do it. Everybody is saying I'm no good. Imagine working with a boss that is say driven, and then their choice of words when they're trying to achieve a goal. This is crap. How did you go to school? For some people, they say, look, I'm done. I'm not working in that office. Instead of going that route, listen to what the boss is trying to say and work on yourself. Now, not all feedback is okay or correct. So the third way some people respond is when you say, why are you coming late? Or I think you should improve on the way you relate with people. Some people say, okay, I've heard. And then they just ignore the person. They ignore the feedback. We talked about a story of a particular man who would not listen to his wife, his staff. It's either his way or the highway. Who are you to talk to me? I don't need your advice. And he lived his life like that. Ended up with 2 divorces. He filed for bankruptcy twice. And definitely he has children that are not willing to talk to him. Miserable life. Feedback is useful. I remember one time when I sat under the lecture of Brian Tracy, and he was talking about how Samsung quickly got the market share for the phones. And he said while iPhone, they would take a whole year to prepare and come out with a new brand, Samsung would just do something, throw it into the market, get feedback, do another one, throw into the market, and that was how they were upgrading until they became competitors. So I ask you, what can you do with feedback? And we're always getting feedback. We get feedback from our loved ones. We get feedback from the people we work with. You should become aware and start using the feedback. So if somebody says to you, why are you this disorganized, or why are you this lazy, or why is it that you will have to run after you to get things done? Well, it could be the person is just talking. When 2 people say it, well, maybe a conspiracy. But when 10 people say it, you should look at the patterns. Just as you get positive feedback, you ask somebody, what am I good at? You would see a pattern. And that can help you build on your strengths. The same thing with when somebody is giving you, you should be willing to be asking questions. How am I limiting myself? You can ask your close friends and relations. They will give you ideas of how they think you should do better. Yours is to thank them and write those things down and work on it. Some people would not like to talk about their weaknesses or talk about how they can improve for the fact that they are interpreting it. Always remember, we're going back to this interpretation. They're interpreting it to mean they are not good. They forget that it is something that can be worked on, and then they go after their fabric, their self, their existence, and then they shut down. That should not be you. So remember, when there is a negative pattern, you know that there is work to be done there, and you look for those that can help you. Same thing, positive pattern, very great. You that's your strength. You hone in on it. You do everything. In fact, one of my mentors said, while you look at how to delegate and do things about your weaknesses, make sure you are working and developing your strengths. So you have a very good technique that you can use, a question that you can ask your friends, those you're working with. Every week you could just ask your loved one, your spouse, what is it that I can work on, or what on a scale of 1 to 10, what can I do, or how do you see me in this area or the other area? And if they give you a 5, a 6, or whatever number, you can say, what would it take to be a 10? That is where the feedback is. So it's not just enough for someone to say to you, I think you can, you are always, that one looks like the arrow that is shot at you. That's the way you are imagining or interpreting it, okay? But then when you take a deep breath and you say to yourself, it's not a big deal, this is feedback, and you ask the next question, what can I do for it to be 10, what you're saying? Then you work on that. Now, for some people, they're just bitter. Some people, when they want to talk, I have someone that whenever, he may be right, but whenever he tries to talk, he would not end that discussion without insulting somebody. And it can be annoying. If you remove all the insults, I think he will be dumb. He will not be able to talk. So when someone says you're a loser, like the example in the book where it says that the husband says to the wife, you're a loser, you're this, you're that. That may not be right. That may not be a correct feedback. But the fact that the person is angry is the real feedback. What do you need to do? Why is the person angry? Why is the person talking like that? Like that friend of mine I'm talking about. He can use insulting, but he can be making very intelligent contributions. So you don't look at that, but you look at the root cause. What is causing the anger? So when you have people that each time you're around them, all they see is what will bring you down, that's another thing. While you are working on the feedback, be mindful not to be where people that would drain you emotionally. Because every time you're putting out fires, you're trying to look good, you're trying to be on their lists of okay or list of number 10, and you are not getting there. So you need to actually strike a balance. And when you want to get this feedback from people, please note that when someone says this area, or you didn't do this, or why didn't you, because you don't have control over how they would say it. But whatever it is, instead of trying to justify, just say thank you so much, I'll work on it. So one, you accept or you acknowledge the feedback. If it's a failure or something you let down, like I had one some time ago last year that each time I remember, I want to beat myself, that it was a communication gap. I was supposed to speak in a very big place, and I actually shared what I was to talk about, and everything seemed like the lady understood, and the head of operations and everything. But then when I finished speaking, the person was disappointed. He said, I thought you were going to talk about sex. I wanted you to talk about sex. And you were busy talking about emotional balance, emotional health. And this is an area that I'm good at. I could talk about it any day, anytime. But I thought we communicated. So for me, that feedback, oh my goodness. And so I from that time onwards, I specifically would call the person and make sure I am in that space with that person. What exactly you want to play out? What's the outcome? So that's how using feedback has helped me move on. So if somebody gives you a feedback, acknowledge it and look at the failure, assess it, and then look for ways to work on that. Secondly, you thank them. Please don't make any enemies from anyone. Just realize that these are improvement opportunities. And then, you know what? You can actually write down all your successes and read them from time to time. Because you may have goofed, made some mistakes here and there. That doesn't mean that you don't have some nice things or wins. That's why when I'm in a coaching session with people, I start with, what is one thing that we would celebrate? Because the person is coming with all the things that needs improvement. Hey, just chill. Let's celebrate one thing that you did well. Because what that does is it helps you to become, you be in a better state to look at it objectively and achieve your goal. And remember, intentionally look out for feedback. Intentionally make feedback part of your tools, so you course correct. Like when you enter a plane to go to any place, like I would use the example of Nigeria to Dubai, the plane is not going on a straight line. it would meet with maybe the clouds, meet with other things. Most of the time is off course, and yet you arrive at the destination. So if you have a goal, a financial goal, and you have set things you want to do to achieve those goals, be open to feedback and course correct. As you're doing, you adjust. Okay, you try doing this. How did it go? How did it play out? There's something I'm participating in right now, fun. And for the first 1 week, I'm just checking all that I'm doing. I've noticed that a particular way I'm going about it is not taking me where I want to go. So I'm changing my tactics all over. And I'm starting with a new approach. So know that you might be off course. It may not go as you planned. For project managers, you do the waterfall, you do the agile, you write everything, you're looking at it, you're following. There are things you may not have power over, so you are there to constantly change things. And don't feel bad. The goal is to get to your destination. I hope that helps you today. In the next 24 hours, what would you do with feedback? My suggestion will be ask a loved one how you can be better in a particular area. They should rate you on a scale of 1 to 10. And then remember to ask them the next question, which is, what would make me a number 10? And then go do it. Do not ignore them, because if someone is giving you feedback all the time and you don't act on those feedback, people will leave you. And do you know the funny thing about that? You are the only one that you don't know about what is going on. Every other person knows you have that flaw. Like what we said, when we started, the first people who complain, they can take care of that in principle number 1. Take 100% responsibility for your life. You see a lady telling the husband about what the boss is doing that is not right, and then she goes to the office and tells her colleagues what the husband is doing that is not right. She's talking to the wrong people. The people that can work on what she wants, they have no clue that she's disturbed. So you intentionally asking for feedback is to know what every other person knows about you. So when you look at it from that light, become intentional about getting feedback. Thank them. Know that it's all about you improving. Be aware of your self-talk and move ahead. So thank you so much for your time. Join me tomorrow, 9 p.m. Oh my goodness, Busala, thank you so much for joining. 9 p.m. tomorrow, we will be treating another success principle. Bye for now.